Okay, welcome to the Javier Mendez podcast. We are filling in for Javier, who's taking care of his personal stuff right now. Basically, sorry while I adjust everything. I'm over here in the happy garage doing the podcast with Tony, who's in Las Vegas. And it's coronavirus time. It's Corona time. You see people taking diapers, toilet paper, hoarding, cops busting people that bought too much stuff, too much Purell. Couple of brothers. Oh, we were just trying to help. We bought $17,000 worth of Purell. Hey, listen, look out for one another if you want to survive this thing. And I do tell everybody for your maximum safety, definitely hunker down, get in your house, stay away from people, keep the 6 foot distance, stay safe. And, we're going to address a couple of things, but I'll start with Tony. What's the word on the street, Tony? What's going on in Vegas? Business, MMA, people, safety, and we'll get back to the MMA and Khabib stuff later on. What's going on with the gym and all that?
Mostly every gym is closed. 16 hotels are officially going to be shut down today. Thousands of people out of work. People are fighting at Walmart, and it's total panic. But a lot of MGM people are buying MGM stock. Like, somebody's going to get rich off of this. So every time there's a crisis like this, someone gets rich off of it. So a lot of people are buying up a lot of stocks. And once the smoke clears, some people are going to be very, very rich over this.
Well, people fighting at Walmart, I mean, first of all, getting in a physical altercation and you may be fighting the diseased, it's kind of like, yeah, I'll wrestle with a zombie. He might bite me and then I'll turn into a zombie. It's like, it could be your life, your ego. I mean, people need to take a step back and really consider the situation and these kind of things. Don't you agree? Even though you're a great martial arts guy, and if someone got in your face, I feel the same agitation right now.
Well, there's always ways to diffuse things. And you can walk away as long as they don't put their hands on you. Who cares? If they're that weak to begin with, where they're going to fight over toilet paper or a can of soup, I mean, look how small their world is. It's like someone in the ghetto killing somebody because someone stepped on their tennis shoes. So if you make your world the size of a cup of coffee and you spill that coffee and your whole world's over, then obviously you need to make some serious changes, set goals, and be more disciplined. But I will say this, I think the jails is filled with that virus because it's so dirty in there. I can't imagine how much coronavirus is in the jails right now.
Yeah, that's the big threat. People are worried about the jails out here in where I live in Dublin, the Santa Rita jails. They're like, please, make sure nobody comes in here because that place could just go haywire. That could be trapped and that would be a death sentence.
Well, look at Italy. Like, Italy just keeps getting body slammed. And my theory is a lot of Italians love to go to church and pray. But in this situation, I think you have to let science and the medical industry figure out the solution and stop going to church for a little bit. God is in your heart. You can pray at home. You don't need to go spread it.
Well, I think there's a lot of people per square mile. I grew up in Italy. I did a podcast that I still have to translate with an Italian fighter who went from AKA, he was here training during the Khabib camp, and he had to go back, and he had to deal with checkpoints, and he had to deal with getting home and being put on 14-day quarantine. And we've been staying in touch. He's doing fine, but his mom drops groceries at his doors, no contact, no family, no nothing. So it's a heck of a head spin, And his fight got canceled. And I go, he was all amped on his fight. I go, that ain't going to matter soon. Your fight's not going to matter. Staying alive is all that really matters,
Well, one big problem is all the fake news on Facebook and all these news feeds, and then a lot of other fake news saying it lives on plastic for 3 days, it lives on copper for 4 days, and it lives on everything. So with so much fake news over flooding, it's just causing people to get paranoid, and there isn't no real leadership on this. But I do know 2 people that have it, and they said when you get it, you'll know. There's no guessing. It feels like someone put like 5 bricks in your throat. You get a massive fever, and you can feel good for 2 hours, and then all of a sudden it hits you like a tidal wave. So,
Well, people with it can reach out, and I wish them a recovery. It sucks. Some people will survive it. A lot of people have survived it. You could hope that you're in that percentage. And then there's the people that don't have the ability, the immune system to fight back, right? And you were talking about this, and then we're going to get back to the MMA, but this is actually number one importance. And I know everybody's here for Khabib and knowing what's with his camp, and we'll get to that. But you were talking about different ways to stay healthy, because you've always been about longevity and staying healthy. And
very simple. Back in the 70s, when cancer patients got sick, they gave them large doses of vitamin C. And vitamin C will help the immune system. But where they got this idea from is from goats, because a goat will produce its own vitamin C. It's the healthiest animal. So right before he gets ready to get sick, his body will produce thousands of milligrams and flood his body, and he'll stay healthy. So that's where they got the idea from. But here's where it doesn't work on people as well. Because if you just start taking a whole bunch of synthetic vitamin C, it's going to go into your liver, because it's too much for your gut to process all of that. Your body's just going to dump it. Plus, most vitamins are fake. So you need a whole food vitamin opposed to a synthetic vitamin. But here's a simple solution. Yellow peppers have more vitamin C than oranges. Sauerkraut has 700 milligrams of vitamin C with a natural probiotic in it. So if you have kimchi or sauerkraut, it already has the vitamin C in there. It has the probiotic in there. That will boost your immune system. So that is the safer way to go, because if your gut flora isn't right, you can't load the vitamin C. And a lot of people I know that have taken the vitamin C intravenously, one or two things happens. The body accepts it, or it goes into the liver, or the batch is contaminated. So when they get the vitamin C IV, they actually get sicker.
Wow. That's, yeah. Gut flora. I'm taking all my probiotics. You got your kimchi, you've got your other beverages that are probiotic, like kombucha.
Kefir is really good,
yeah.
but you have to, if you can get kefir from goat's milk, it is absolutely has like 1 trillion probiotics in it. Also, to make sure it's just not flavored.
Yeah, just the natural.
Because once the sugar hits it and the sugar overload, it just messes it up. So,
yeah, watch your sugar. Watch your sugar. Anything that makes your immune system weaker, right? Pretty much.
Exactly.
I mean, don't go home and buy a bag of Twinkies and settle in and say, I got this. Twinkies and Netflix, right? I mean, you'll get a diabetic coma. You'll have another problem. You'll cause another illness by avoiding another. You'll step away from the shark, and then you will go lay down and let poison squirrels attack you by doing this kind of situation.
Well, there's another thing, too, that, is kind of weird to me is like, in public restrooms, it seems like, wouldn't it make more sense to wash your hands before you use the bathroom and after? So why would I want my dirty hands touching my privates and then wash my hands? Because I'm going to need my privates for my entertainment. So why would I take my dirty hands and put it on my, on my privates? Another thing, too, is when people cough, they put their arm up here. And that just doesn't make sense to me. The proper way to cough, the Valente method, is just lift your shirt up and cough in the inside of your shirt, because it's going to be 10 times less germ spread. Because when you put your arm up here, and you're spreading that shit everywhere. It's like a launching pad. I don't understand what the Surgeon General does other than dye his beard and groom himself, which I like the way his beard looks and stuff like that. He looks like, the captain of Tennille or something. But hey.
So what's it like? You're in your car, man. What's going on in the street? What are you seeing out there? Zombies, joggers, people convening more than they should, not adhering to the situation.
The roads are like it was in the 90s. There's 2.2 million people living in the city right now, and the roads, it's pretty easy to get around town, I can tell you that. But most people are just going shopping crazy, buying a zillion cans. And here's another thing to watch out for: the cans. If it says yeast extract in the soup or whatever you have, that's MSG. So MSG definitely is not good for your immune system.
Yeah. Don't be eating a bunch of top ramen thinking you're coming up. on the dollar discount menu. Talk about bloat and goat. You're not going to be the goat. I tell you that much. We're on the same page, Tony. So Javier asked me, hey man, you and Tony run this. I got to take care of some stuff. So I said, okay, we'll do it. And we've known him a long time. We're going to go to the fan questions because I asked the fans to do this. But to give you guys the real update, Khabib, the gym has been closed. Khabib hasn't maintained safety throughout. They started diminishing, smaller groups. He stayed with the same guys, no new people in that circle. Now he's training with his own private group of guys. He's not coming to the gym. They're not rowing on the mats. They're not being around other people. They're keeping a safe distance from everyone. They're adhering to it maximally. And Dana White is trying to still find some miraculous way to pull it off, whether it be the moon or Dubai or something. He wants, because the fight's symbolic. I know that the coronavirus is more important. People's health is number one. But we need something to maintain our hope, to inspire us. Something like fighting, to inspire us, to show strength during a time when we're getting our ass kicked, everywhere around the world by this virus, by the market, by job loss, by so much. People look to a strong person to draw inspiration. And I think the Khabib and Tony fight is symbolic in that way more than it is a money grab for, the UFC, because I don't really see them making much more money. The last UFC that they did, the last one that was blacked out in Brazil recently, they had, I heard Josh Thompson say on his podcast that it was the worst attendance record. The worst, views of any UFC ever. And I suspect because that was during the high shopping days and, oh, shoot, I better find my bunker days. Don't you think, Tony?
No, I think it was the worst. Well, that definitely is a factor. But, the main event when sometimes when a guy doesn't make weight and then he has a performance like that, I just sometimes things just don't work out. And the timing was definitely off, but it happens. Sometimes shows just don't turn out that well. You can't really blame people. It is what it is.
Well, I'm going to screen share the fan questions so we can go over them, Tony. And this is a new, unique try. We're doing this. So here we are in fan questions. People can see them on our channel. Thank you guys for all the subscribers. So we asked, we get 125 likes. We get 54 people asking. So this one I'm going to ask you. Hobbs kind of answered it, but you're his friend. You've known him. I'm his friend, but I'm his new friend. You're his friend of 20 years. So you guys have more back in the day stories. I have. Remember last year? Remember 2 years ago? You go back 20 years with the guy.
Yeah.
So Javier, martial arts history, how he got into coaching. A detailed answer, please. This is from Abu Bilal. Thank you, Abu. So we're going to answer your question.
Well, the fighter only has so many fights in him. And a lot of times you feel more validated helping the next generation than you did yourself. A lot of fighters can get bored with it. Javier won a world championship. So, you only can go so far. It's the next level. And
well, I'm talking I'm going to expound on something that a lot of people don't consider. They see him as a father figure to the fighters and a coach, but this guy was a wild, tough champion. And there's a reason in the early UFC why so many people like Frank Shamrock, and other people found their way to AKA in the early UFCs is because this guy could whoop their ass and stand up all day long. They realized, oh yeah, I'll grab your leg, Hav, and get you. But Hav wasn't coming up in grappling. He was a boxer and a kickboxer. And the UFC, I don't think initially had any crossover. You know what I mean? From people.
But it was his ability to adapt and to understand that, hey, because I can knock you out with one punch, it doesn't mean I can still beat you. It's his versatility. And you got to realize something. There's a coach, there's a trainer, there's a hype man, there's a pad man, there's a conditioning coach. All these things, usually people will have one of each of these guys in their camp. And Javier actually is all of those. He is a piece of all of those, which makes him so rare.
He respects the grappling art. He knows what he doesn't know, and he knows how to adapt to what is different. He knows about it. he's just not practiced in the art of it. He's like, I'm a stand-up guy. That's my preference. But
well, that's his preference. But don't think he doesn't know about going to the ground. He definitely knows the ground game. He just never mentions it because why? It isn't about him. Fighters take, coaches give. He is a very giving type guy. So that's why he can elevate someone's game, because he understands. That's why a lot of fighters don't really make great coaches, because they don't have the patience. And then another thing is a fighter always wants to fight. It's always in his blood. But Javier let all that go so he could coach, so he could be a trainer, so he could be a teacher, so he could be a psychologist, so he could be a pad holder. So he covers all the bases. And all that comes from his martial arts, having the discipline and the structure and millions of hours. That's why they call it martial art, where MMA is more martial because it's fighting. Even though it is an art, it's more like a military fighting art than it is an art.
that's true. I mean, Javier and I both have something in common. We both have history in running martial arts schools, whether they be Taekwondo or MMA or, combatives like Krav Maga. We've both done that. I have that in common with him. That's why I understand him. I've had a gym before. I've run gyms before. And he started there. So you have a great premise to be a coach, running classes, teaching and training hundreds of people, and then being a champion on top of that. And you fuse that together. And then with his unique, humble personality and his ability to give and put his message through, and on top of that, be a master strategist. That is the, Javier Mendez in a nutshell right there, So that was a long-winded answer. Let's move on to the next question, and I will share the screen so we can look at it with everybody once again. Just trying a new mix-up here. So, is Khabib working on Tony's Darce? Eddie Bravo stated multiple times in interviews that Tony's Darce will be used in the fight. From Yamir Rashid. Well, there's a lot of questions, so this is all up to Tony if we can make through all these questions. Anyways, a lot of people worry about this Darce, and nobody's going, what about Khabib's crushing Dagestani grappling game? I mean, I think some people, we call it Sambo. We sum it up as Sambo, the Russian martial arts of submission. Personally, I have seen jiu-jitsu smoked when jiu-jitsu guys in like ACA, used to be ACB fight league. You see a lot of Dagestanis and people from, Chechnya, Dagestan, bring Brazilians into the league, and, guy tries to put a triangle and they're like, ugh, they shake it off like a dog with a flea. So I don't know. No one's thinking about that side. They're all worried about Khabib. You guys need to think about what can Khabib do, and maybe Tony needs to be worried about that too. I mean, what do you get to say on that, Tone?
Well, years ago, a lot of Russians competed in Japan in judo, and it was impossible for them to get past the politics. So they created Sambo with the freestyle wrestling, and they're just superior conditioned athletes. So you could be the best technician in the world, but when you're going up against a bear, the technique just is going to be very ineffective.
Yeah. I mean, everybody, they've seen it used on some people. He's got this little sideway, he'll run and grab you like he's grabbing a clothesline, and he'll do his stuff.
Well, jiu-jitsu doesn't work that. Jiu-jitsu is not as effective when someone is sweating. They need the gi for traction. So once you get past the first round and a fighter's sweating a little bit, most of the submissions are not going to be that effective.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's a generalized answer, guys. That's what we're going to give you for that for now. Let's look over here, and we're just taking our time because, listen, you have nowhere to go. We have nowhere to go. We have time to podcast today. I think that's the deal, right, Tony? Are you rushing to get anywhere?
Spit them out. Let's spit them out.
Okay, well, I'm going as fast as I can, but it's a little slow.
Right.
I agree. Let's see. Does Javier think Tony's grappling and his awkward moves like rolling on the mat? What does he think about it? What has he shared with you? What does he think about Tony's moves? Anything?
Well, you know what? He's like a mathematician. So he definitely mathematically calculates certain things with everything. And he'll be like, oh, I'm not thinking about it. But trust me, his mind never shuts off. It's like a CD player on loop. It ain't shutting off. So trust me, he has all the bases covered. But you got to realize how many people win in UFC on their back.
Yeah.
There's your answer right there.
Yeah, I mean, Tony has posed unique threats that people haven't seen before, and people haven't seen some of the threats like the big hands that wrap around. Okay, we know your secrets. We know about your Darce and the Darce and the Darce. Dustin Poirier had a Darce. It was just a temporary necklace before he got beat. Expect the same. That's what I think. Expect the same. Don't think that Khabib has not watched Tony. We know, and also another funny thing. How many people commenting on this channel, they're going, hi, Tony. Hi, Tony. We know you're watching this channel. As a matter of fact, you pointed it out, Tony, didn't you?
Yeah, because he brought up, because we were the first to mention that he didn't spar, and he definitely blew a gasket at the press conference saying that he didn't need to spar. And, of course, he probably got aggravated when, I said it's impossible to get your timing down without sparring, and that he gives away freebies. But he does. He does give away freebies.
Yeah. Well,
he takes some hell of a shots, man. He's tough as I don't know what, man. But right now you don't want to give away nothing free in the way the world is right now. But hey, he is who he is. I mean, Khabib needs Tony, and Tony needs Khabib, and we need this fight to come off. So, because there's no sporting events, and in my opinion, I think ESPN should get the sponsors, have it broadcast for free, let everybody make millions of dollars, and we need to be entertained. No one needs to be sitting at home waiting for the world to end. That's just my take.
I agree with that. So back to the questions, because this is the greatest radio show ever seen out of a car and from my little garage office here. Let's see.
I'm trying to find toilet paper, and it's not existent.
Can I find toilet paper podcast? Yeah, no. This is the Javier Mendez podcast,
Exactly.
And hopefully, mail toilet. All we want is to keep the supporting the podcast. We don't even want your money. Just mail toilet paper to Tony Valente. That's all I'm saying. So let's see back here. So that was from Unknown Guy. Is Khabib working on a stand-up game from Lord Yamcha? As much as he is working on his ground game, or does the wrestling and grappling take priority? Well, let's see. We cannot reveal the magic that's happening. Just like Tony's trying to be secretive and build some moves that we've never seen. And hey, everybody knows Tony's trying to build moves that we've never seen. We already know this. Okay, that's done. As far as Khabib stand-up, amazing. Dialed in. Looks great. That's all I could say. Top secret ninja stuff. And do you know any of the secrets, Tony, out there in Vegas? Probably not.
Okay, he doesn't get ready. He stays ready. And that's why he is who he is. He ain't getting ready for this. He stays ready.
Yeah.
He is always in season. There's no off season. That's why he is who he is. Like I said, I've had a chance to be around the best and see everybody. And I'm telling you, this guy's different. Telling you.
That's true. I agree with you, Tony. That's why we're on this podcast together. But let's see. Does he pray at the gym, Zawad Ahmed? No, he does not. He has a special place he goes prayer. I believe it's with one of his priests, or, I'm not sure of the religion, so please don't hold that against me. One of the guys comes and they go to the mosque. Yes. Okay. Are you preparing for the scrambles of Tony, and is Khabib aware of the dangers Tony's elbows and knees possess? Okay, this is redundant. So I will say we just talked about that. Let's see. Oh, let's bounce back to topical stuff that you had going on earlier, Tony. You were talking about Conor McGregor and some of the stuff he was saying. What was the news clip you sent me today?
Oh, that he has to probably have to fight Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is a tough fight. Let me tell you, that's serious, man. That is serious.
That division doesn't get any better, doesn't get any easier to deal with.
There's no such thing as an easy fight in UFC. You can hang it up. You may have an easy night because you could get lucky, but as far as an easy fight, there's no way. It's one of the toughest sports on the planet. It is so tough. Like not even 1% of the planet can be an MMA fighter. Not even 1%. That's how tough it is. People don't realize how tough it is.
That's true. I'm going back to the fan questions, which I love, and we want some more from you guys next time, and thank you for subscribing. It is my mission to help Javier get 100,000 subscribers. That was his initial goal, and if I don't get them, he won't let me make all these awesome videos for you that I like to make, because I'm going to release everything I can. I know you guys have been liking this stuff, and everything I can within the limit of not disclosing any top secret stuff, and that was one of the questions. Are we showing too much for Tony? Well, you can watch Tony do push-ups all you want to. I mean, watch Khabib do push-ups all you want to. It's not going to change anything. So we did the scrambles. Javier Mendez for Hobby said in the podcast GSP would beat Khabib due to having superior kicking game. Also, Khabib generally throws very few kicks. Is this something you're working on and striking with him? Javier's always working on upping Khabib's game, and I've seen it jump leaps and bounds because I get to film it, but I can't show it to you because I'm sworn to secrecy. Otherwise, I would be out of the circle of trust, and you wouldn't have any videos. And even the little videos are just him walking back and forth to the cage or hanging with the guys. So you get to know him as a person more in this channel. We're not going to release any inside stuff. It would be cool, but then what would be the point? Imagine Google releasing their top secret formula to build the next phone app, and then Apple looking at it from the other video channel. Good. Go ahead.
Here's an easier way to answer it. Kicks don't win MMA fights. Kicks are the cherry on the cake. It's not the cake. And look at Edson Barbosa. He has incredible kicks. Look at Krokop, incredible kicks. Those are two of the best kickers on the planet. Kicks are not going to win MMA fights. You have to be a great wrestler. You have to have boxing. You have to have those two essentials first. And then if you add kicks, then it takes you up another tier. But kicks are not going to beat a straight right hand in MMA. There's no way.
That's so true. So we just addressed Faraz's question about the kicking and GSP. Hey, listen, GSP is a stud. I respect the guy. I used to love to watch the guy. And then, you get to know some fighters and some become your friends and you kind of lean towards them. And, I've gotten to know Khabib. I've known a lot of fighters in my time, more than you guys would imagine. And there's something special about him. There's some reason why I want him to win. And, he's just consistent. There's a nice consistency that you want to stay consistent with to stay consistent in the universe. Khabib winning is kind of like a world balancing factor. Just does it for me. What made you a fan of Khabib, Tony?
Khabib is like a value meal at a fast food place. No matter what location you go to, it always comes out exactly the same. His personality, he's never moody. He doesn't change his personality. The way he is the way he is. He is so disciplined. He is just so real that it's inspiring to wow, this guy is such an extraordinary human being. He's rich. He's this, he's that. This guy is the nicest guy on the planet, man. If you ever get a chance to meet him, you'll see what I'm talking about. He's always the same. He is so real. There isn't like a TV personality than the real guy or something like that. Like he's one of a kind. I'm telling you, man.
He is so humble and down to earth. I have the next question. I'm liking what I'm looking at right here. Is this is, hi guys, this is from S. Saxman. Thank you for giving us MMA content in this time of need. And that's what I try to do. I'm digging in the archives of his last camp, of his current camp, of what I can show, and giving you a podcast and trying to get other fighters on here. But you got the wisdom guys, the veteran guys that have been around the fight game, martial arts for a long, long time in one way or another. And then there's people that are more popular now. Me and Tony are going to give you an unbiased answer. We have no ego in it. We're going to give it to you straight, and we're friends with a lot of these guys. We get to see behind the scenes. So hopefully this insight is making you guys happy,
No,
so
you're going to have a lot of guests on the show, but right now this virus has kind of thrown the whole planet off its axis. So when things get back to normal per se, you know, you're going to have a lot of guests on this show. It's definitely going to change.
They may raise their hand now that they've got nothing to do. We'll see. I'm not really, it's not that they wouldn't. I just haven't pestered them, you know? They're right now, I figure everybody's getting their storage, getting their food, getting their house safe, making sure their family's okay. And they need a few days to settle in, you know? And then it becomes a regular day, life from home. So anyways, I'm back to this. Like, I'm a huge fan of the Real Mexican Gangster, everyone at the gym. My question is, have you guys been using sparring partners for Khabib to deal with Tony's unusual movement? And the answer is, of course, yes. So thanks, Saxman. Here's another question. What do you think about this one, Tony? I'm going to throw it at you. Will having an empty stadium have any effect on how they fight?
No, because you're talking the top tier. You're talking about 2 A-list guys, not A-, not B+, not C. And this is a collision course. And technically, they're very similar in a lot of ways because we have 2 guys with unbelievable desire. They're on a collision course against each other.
Yeah.
So this fight goes deeper than the physical part. It's very spiritual.
You know what? I watch Khabib spar with me, Hav, his sparring partner, maybe 1 or 2, or just sometimes me and Hav in the room. And he goes at it like it's a title fight. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change a thing. Doesn't change anything. He's the same guy, as Tony said earlier, 100. There's no changing. It's on, and it's on, right? So let's see. Well, the empty stadium, how is Khabib? Are they worried about the fight might be canceled after the virus? Of course. I mean, that's honestly, the fight could be canceled. Dana White is talking to foreign countries like Dubai, other places, to see if he can arrange the show. He talked to other places in America. He's trying to find a way. For him, it's significant. This fight must happen. I'm sure it's distracting Dana White from this whole thing. It's not a guaranteed $1 million maker, especially with people losing their jobs, not having money for pay-per-view. They probably should put it for free on ESPN so the whole world can watch, because there's nothing else to watch.
Sponsors that will pay enough money to keep the money going around. So I just think so many people are greedy with their hands out. That is the difficulty of the fight, because everybody wants to see the fight. It's got to happen. There's nothing else going on. Everybody else is sitting at home. You got to let these guys fight. I say hold it in the damn Roman Coliseum. No, not in Italy. That's too dangerous. But I'm just saying, you got to let the fight go
on. Here's a question. I finally get my question. And this is a question for Len. This is from Abraham Mohammed. What do you enjoy most about being around AKA? And would you say would you say you've seen AKA change in any way since you've been there? Thanks for the channel. Well, thank you. Thanks for the support. I mean, this is the Javier Mendez podcast. I do the filming and the editing and crank out this media for you guys. And I got Javier to do the podcast. He was a very unlikely guy to do the podcast. But now he'll do the podcast. And me and Tony probably wanted him to do this forever. I mean, did you think he'd ever do a podcast, Tony, looking back a few years ago?
Well, he's a really busy guy. So, you know, a lot of people depend on him. Like, you have no idea. Javier is kind of like everybody's dad in a way. Like, people really, really depend on him, man. I'm telling you. So for him to just even take time out and have a few minutes to do this it's a miracle, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm going to say this. I get to film. Javier and I have become good friends. It's more about a friendship. It's a friendship between, you know, he had a long friendship standing with Tony for 20 years and me for a few years, but Javier and I have known of each other for the last 12 years, and we've got to know each other, and it's a friendship, and that's what this is. This is not really, oh, we're the next huge conglomerate and we're trying to be Joe Rogan. You know, we are what we are, and if you like the AKA flavor, it's fantastic. Now, have I seen any changes? What I do see happen is when it's not Khabib season or Daniel Cormier season, when you have a champion, the gym tends to flood up, And people from all over the world want to come train there because they get to train at Champ Camp, and the training's very high level. And if they have a fight coming up by coincidence, they're going to come in even tighter, because when you're around, alphas and top champions, the level is raised. And we do see an influx of fighters come sign up. Like the first you see the sparring floor, oh, there's lots of room. Everybody can do backflips and cartwheels. Then you have to line up, and there's a line of 50 people. So, and then there's upstairs. Now, mind you guys, all the safety stuff's been taken care of. When the coronavirus started coming up, Joanna and Javier started taking steps to make things better, just to reassure you, he's in good health. But the thing is that people come and they just at the end of practice, there was Duran going, hey man, I need a bike. I got a fight next week. Like, I'm waiting for some guy that doesn't have a fight for 6 months, and he's in the way. And you got to make space for the top guys, and the sparring rooms and all those different training rooms, they get backed up because there's so many people. So there's a speech on here. There's Javier talking about, if you look on the YouTube channel, check that video out. He's talking about, hey man, we need to be focused on who needs to be fighting. It's like, it needs to be scheduled. And in a way, if you watch Javier on the floor picking the fighters on some of the footage, who's going to fight who, when in the cage, on the other floor in the boxing ring, you will see that it's like a guy, there's a movie, Pushing 10, where guys are trying to land airplanes. You ever seen that one, Tony?
No, I'm not that old.
It's not that old, dude. No, it was a great, with Billy Bob Thornton. These two guys were competing. They were landing all the airplanes, and that's what it's like landing all the sparring. Just trying to give a metaphor. But we've got a lot of questions, but any people walking around your car out there looking suspicious that are gonna get the beat down?
No. It's just absolutely not. No, it's people are thinking about survival and washing their hands and looking for hand sanitizer, and rubbing alcohol is basically hand sanitizer that's not gelled up, and it actually works better. So just buy a bottle of rubbing alcohol. So there it is. Keep it simple.
Yeah, I think we'll get to some more of these questions next time. I mean, I'll leave off with this guy, EDK. Will Khabib's father attend the fight in the 18th? Well, we know this much. Depends where it's at. If it's overseas, for sure. New York, nope, because it's not going to happen there. So that's as good as we can guess. Is it true that AK is temporarily closed until further notice? Yes, absolutely. Okay, number 3. Is it true AK is temporarily closed? How will the boys train until their fight date? They are rolling in a pack of the highest skill possible. He has his porta pack of excellent people to train with. And last but not least, tell us about yourself, how you started filming and got to know Javier. Please do share. I'm going to start with Tony. How did you get to know Javier?
Back in 2001, I had retired from fighting because I had been doing it forever. And I was like, we were at some fight, and there was some Russian guy that had like 100 wins or something. And I'm like, man, well, not to put down Russians or nothing, but I was like, man, that dude's garbage. I'll leave the strip club and beat him. And then Scott Coker's like, oh, I'll get you a fight against him. And I guess that's how I'm pretty sure that's how we met. Yeah, that's how we met. That was actually before that, but yeah, that's how we met.
So did you know Scott Coker first or Javier first?
I knew Scott Coker first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Scott Coker is a big Bruce Lee fan, historian, and collector, and we just all have mutual friends. It's a small community.
So since you're in the martial arts and you're the modern version of Bruce Lee, the last remaining Bruce Lee?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm more like Ip Man. Ip Man smoked every day and drank Hennessy, and then he did it. He worked on the Wing Chun dummy, so that's more of me. I'm more like Ip Man.
Well, they can see you on. You're blowing up over on Periscope. No, not Periscope.
TikTok.
Yeah, go look for him. If you get lost on Periscope, you won't find it. Plus, Periscope is what's new now. I mean, these are all the new TV stations. Go to TikTok, look for Tony Valente and all his crazy martial arts stunts. They're entertaining, and
but you will get distracted because there's unbelievably attractive women on TikTok. You will get distracted. So there it is.
That's gonna happen. They're like, Tony, no, I'll look at him later. Yeah, that happens. So yeah, for me, I had an MMA gym with some famous fighters 12 years ago, and not even name dropping. And we had MMA channel that I used to film for, and I had a gym, and you know, a lot of famous people, a lot of media, a lot of content, did all that stuff. We'd even go to Javier's gym and interview his guys, you know, interviewing Kane, 12, 13 years ago. So Javier and I would see each other in passing, and then there was Strikeforce, and we used to get press passes there, and Affliction, and the UFC. So I've been to like all these things as media, and just going in there filming, putting up stuff for people. Not really, you know, more of a hobbyist, but I do have professional level skill because I worked in TV when I was younger. So it's not hard. I'm just using different equipment. I'm not using the shoulder Canon camera that's no good. And in Javier's gym, you need a camera that captures light very well. And it gets dark when you have those white fluorescent lights. So a lot of cameras, like someone asked me if that was a GoPro, it looked like it's dark in there. And if you film with a regular camera, like it's darker and darker and darker. So I do my best to make it look beautiful and take you behind the scenes. It's a combination of embedded style. It's a combination of what other videographers are doing and my own style. So I try to give you guys a look, make you feel like you're there, not to put too many graphics and commercials. And
so the answer is you use a Sony camera because a GoPro has a fisheye lens, which basically is not that effective for what you're doing.
Well, I met Javier. I'm like, I looked at this guy. I have social media skills. I've worked with a lot of famous people in my time, and no name dropping. But to tell you this, I said, you need some help with this. And he was sort of interested. I mean, he was already killing it on Instagram. He had 300,000 followers. I'm like, you have beautiful stuff here. Let me put it out for you. I have nothing to do. It's a hobby. You know, I'm technically retired, so I have time to do this. It's something I enjoy. I like to see people enjoy the output. It's a creative site. I never had very many creative hobbies. All I've ever had was work. So this is a beautiful thing, man. I mean, why do you do your stuff, Tony? You just like to put it out there, right? Show people what's possible.
Well, you know what? It's because you're a certain age. That doesn't mean you need to quit or sit down or whatever. And if you keep sodium and sugar out of your body and, you know, just do basic necessities that, you know, you actually can do stuff over 50. You can still work out, you know, but you don't, when you're over 50, you don't need to work out like you're 40. And when you're 40, you don't need to work out like you're 30.
That's true.
You know, your body has a certain amount of muscle memory, and you use that memory. And as long as you stay away from the real trendy stuff, your chances of getting injured are pretty slim. And you can work out, you know, in your 60s.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you've maintained a great level of fitness. You know, I'm doing my best to maintain mine. I was really heavy. Jav got me on the diet. Got to get him back on the same diet with me. It's to me, it's not a diet now. It's just a lifestyle. If I make it a diet, I'll just quit that in 60 days and go, okay, let's take a tour around the cake factory. It's tiramisu time, you know?
Well, the simple solution I really don't give people diets. For every bad thing you eat, try to eat 3 good things.
Right.
So that way you're always 3-to-1 advantage over the bad. And if you use that simple principle, you'll be surprised how much you'll get used to it.
No, it makes sense.
The 3-to-1 rule.
So we're going to wrap today. It was a great time with you, Tony. I think it was a good podcast. Anybody who's got nothing but time to listen, there's some insight. We answered your questions. Make sure you subscribe, get your friends into this. We'll get Jav back here. Yes, it is named the Javier Mendez podcast, but we are part of it too. And we will be running it sometimes without him, depending on his situation. Sometimes he's flying around the world. Sometimes
and you have a ton of special guests coming. We got some unbelievable special guests coming. Unbelievable.
Yeah, we haven't even flexed yet. We're not even trying to. We're going at a very casual rate, and then we will unveil the master plan for you guys to want to watch this more. We don't want to lead with, hey, we know this guy. You'll get to see it, right?
But feel free to ask any question possible, like anything. you know?
Yeah. People, one more thing I'll wrap with this though, but it's like, what makes you qualified, right? You know, am I a ninth degree black belt? No, I'm a guy that grew up getting in a lot of fights. I took judo, and Tony getting a lot of fights, and he took kung fu and other martial arts. And we both have tested whether this stuff works or not. We are not in the UFC, and we don't pretend to be that guy, but we're very capable in taking care of ourselves. So Javier respects that. Now, I'm not out here trying to issue any fights to Kimbo or any people like that on the internet, you know, rest in peace. But you know what I'm saying? It's like we know a bit of what we're talking about. And that's the bottom line. That's why we do the podcast. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Like I said, not even 1% of the planet can be an MMA fighter. Not even
Right.
1%. And I'm not even talking about an A level. I'm talking 1% can't even be a D level MMA fighter. MMA guys just don't get credit. They don't realize how difficult it is. Like football is a genetic sport. NBA is a genetic sport. MMA, it's like genetics help, but you're in there on your own, man. They close that gate on you, and it's MMA people have the biggest heart. I'm telling you, the size of their heart, their desire, the ability to take punishment. I mean, you got to be cut from a different cloth.
You might be somewhat capable in some realm, but like, let's say like me, I was getting out of the military, UFC was coming out. I entertained the idea. Then I saw wrestlers coming in, and I was getting out and I had some injuries, and I'm like, it's not the time. So I looked at it and I said, wait a second, I got to put in 10 years of wrestling in reverse to keep up with that guy. I need to put 12 years of that. So it's kind of like me getting off the couch going, okay, I'm going to race the world's top Ironman guy. Not likely. The guy's been running and swimming and hiking and biking and just going and going and going. And I'm going to get off the couch and my motor hasn't even been used and tuned up to go the distance. So no, these guys are so unique. They put in so much time to be where they are. And that's what makes them really, really special. Doesn't mean you can't understand them, but I don't try to speak for them so much. Just my observations, as does Tony pretty much. Right? That's my thing. Tony, you off?
Absolutely. Because think about it. I've seen people train in the best facilities in the world, use weights, electronics, all these scientists with their notebooks and this and that. And it's not fight functional.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, Khabib, he's not using all this fancy stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So it just that's where the mind and the body come into play. His desire, his mind, his drive, his religion, you know, his genetics. I mean, there's a lot of factors there, you know, just like Javier's gym. It isn't like the UFC Performance Center. It doesn't have millions of weights in there and underwater treadmills and pools and all of that stuff. And look at the people that come out of there. It goes to show you that desire and your heart is the strongest element of MMA.
You go to the UFC PI with a lot of fighters, and you know, you've been there helping out and stuff, and that's more of a rehab center than anything. I mean, you get to bring you know, it's like a stage. Oh, I'm going to make a movie. You need to bring your own actors. You need to bring your own players. You need to bring your own. It's an empty soccer field. You need to bring your two teams together to make a game out of it. Otherwise, right?
Well, it's a phenomenal place, but there's just too many spies in there, so a lot of fighters don't feel comfortable over there. Because
Yeah.
it's just too many cameras, too many spies, too many people watching. Like you said, it's a great place for rehab. And, you know, the facility is spectacular, but, you know, the privacy there definitely is not good.
That's a interesting observation, because this will be what I wrap on. I keep saying, and this is the end. No, but we keep extending it. Now, who cares?
All right.
Where are you guys going with this virus right now? You're at home. It's a new show for you to watch. And here it is. Just two guys blabbing on about endless MMA knowledge. The spy thing, if this is why you guys like want to see fighting and sparring, I'm not even showing you any stuff on Khabib that Tony can use. I'm giving him spaghetti western footage. I mean, it's entertaining stuff. But what I'm trying to say is, this is industrial espionage. This is a multi-million-dollar business called Khabib. You know, like it's a multi-million-dollar business called John Jones or or, you know, Conor McGregor. So you don't reveal the secrets of the secret sauce. Do you think McDonald's was calling everybody at home going, hey, we're using X, Y, and Z, and that's why it tastes like this. Make your own at home.
Here's a simpler answer. If you let a bear out of a cage, you don't really think about how he's going to get you. It's just, you just think about the bear is on the way. Like the bear is coming to get you. You don't think, well, he's going to hit me with the right claw. He's going to rip me in half. You just say, oh my God, there's a bear. So that's how I think of this Khabib thing. You can think about punching, kicking, and stylistic matchups. It's not a PlayStation game. You're letting the bear out of the cage.
Yeah, this is a whole different type of human being, guys. Keep worrying about Tony and Tony spying and tricks and tricks. There's 28 other guys that have tried every trick and move. You've just never seen them in the sequence that Tony presents them, but they're like instruments. They've all been played. He's dealt with every one of them, and they all lost. And then they will fight. And up until now, I think Tony has intimidated a lot of his other people he's fought. I don't think it's definitely not a consideration being around the gym. I don't see him like, oh, there's no worries about Tony. And you know what? I've enjoyed watching Tony's style. I'm not a hater. You know, I'm here to watch the professional thing, but I'm just giving you my personal opinion from an observation from a standpoint and what I believe to be the situation. That's just Tony. You know, I mean, it's funny. Your name's Tony and we're talking about Tony. That's the funniest part about this damn podcast. You know? Hey, Tony, tell me about Tony. Sorry. Any closings, Tony? Because I know I'm blabbing, but
no, that's it. We're done.
We're done, man.
Got it.
Subscribe and hang in there. Stay safe, stay clean, stay out of harm's way. Don't hoard any toilet paper. God bless. You know, everybody be good.